Well, good morning. This is the Knox County Commissioners, our regular session today on July 23rd. And we have two people from the Knox County Museum. Yeah, so thank you, Mark, and your cohort here. And we will turn it over to you. And if you'll introduce yourself for those people who are watching, they'll have your names and your mugshot to go with it. So
for those of you who don't know me, I'm Mark Ramser. I'm president of the Knox County Historical Society, and this is Michael Sherfy, and he's our museum director, and started late last year, succeeded Jim Gibson, who'd been the director for almost 27 years prior to that. And Mike had sent his annual report that he prepared to you folks. I don't know if you had a chance to see that or not.
I don't know, okay.
We weren't going to read over it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you have copies. I didn't bring extra. Could you bring some copies, Mike? Yeah. Okay, great. So we don't want to take a huge amount of time, but just wanted to kind of fill you in on what we've been doing at the museum since Mike started.
Thank you.
Let's see. I have one myself. Pass that one down. Some more? Okay. There's some more, actually. And sure, got one. Okay. So I'll just lead off a little bit here, and then I'll let Mike talk about the report itself. But again, Mike started late last year. Happy to have him. He also works full-time at the library, and so he's able to explain what you do at the library.
I do a lot of stuff at the library. I'm in adult services, so I do adult nonfiction type programming. I don't do the crafting stuff, I do the other stuff. And I'm also a reference librarian there now. So I'm working the desk as well. So
That's at the city?
At the public library.
And so he does a lot of programs also, which I've been going to some of them. Generally has 3 or 4 programs a month. Generally in the evening, but I guess you also have some at lunchtime too, right?
We have we show movies twice a month in the evening, a documentary and a feature film. We do some sort of local history or local something presentation, and then we do a round table, like a reminiscence round table, where we invite people to share memories from being in the area in the past, and we feed them so they come. So it's lunchtime. And then this year for the America 250 commemoration, we're not only following the themes that Ohio has set forth for that, but we also are. My colleague, Jennifer Calabretta, is making food based on recipes from local cookbooks from the past 80-ish years. I think it's as far back as she's gone so far. So we do neat things there.
So he does a lot of things at the library that tie in well with the Historical Society, and his schedule is fairly flexible at the library also, so it works out well. We didn't have to change our operating hours or that type of thing for the museum. Good. So we're open Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays from 2 to 4 p.m. from early March till about Thanksgiving each year. And we have programs the first Wednesday of each month during that time frame, except during the summer months. So we have about 6 programs a year, and actually in the report that he has here details the programs we had during 2025.
So I'm curious, Michael, did you bring us any food from those recipes?
No, because my colleague who makes it is out setting up at the fair.
Okay, good.
I have a White House cookbook from back in history, it's like 1800s. I haven't tried any of the recipes, to be honest, though.
Some of them turn out better than you think.
Yeah, there were some interesting things in it. So you have rotating exhibits that you put in the Historical Society, right, programs?
Yeah, we've got programs that come through each month that we try to do. I was not responsible for at least the first half of these. I presented one last year on Lizzie Evans, who was a vaudeville performer from Mount Vernon. But we do that, that's open to the public once a month, the first Wednesday during the 6 months of the year that we do it. We're planning moving forward already for the fall, obviously, and the spring for this year.
So I like history, I'm curious. this vaudeville performer, did they perform in the Woodward Opera House?
She did. She actually, she went down to Cincinnati to hit it big. And then she fell in with people. But then when she was already famous, she came back here. I think her stage debut would have been in Fredericktown. But she came back here when she was famous and did a benefit show that I guess the money was supposed to end up supporting the formation of the library, because they didn't have one yet. And Curtis, or one of the Curtises was involved, or one of the Curtises. And yeah, so she had quite a lot. She ended up like just being on the edge of early film, but she didn't, as far as I know, she didn't show up in anything.
Oh, but she performed at the Woodward.
She did perform at the Woodward at least twice, maybe 3 times.
Where did she perform up at Fredericton?
In like I think it was like, I think they just called it the Union Hall. I think it was like just on Main Street in one of the buildings. It wasn't a large venue.
Yeah.
But it was when she was a teenager and she was a little
So a part of the celebration 250 this Sunday, 4:30 out at Stormire, the movie Bye Bye Birdie's going to be. Are you going to have any Paul Lynn's paraphernalia out there for people to kind of look at, or
Yeah,
not?
we're doing a table out there, and we're gonna bring some. We have a lot of Paul Lynn memorabilia, so we're not gonna bring.
Yeah, I wanted you to bring the car.
It's gonna be hard to maneuver. But yeah, we'll bring some things out there for sure. And I'm not sure if I'm giving a spiel or just talking to people when they come to the table.
Okay.
It's a little up in the air how things go. But yeah, we are going to have a presence there.
And that is when, again?
This Sunday.
This
Sunday.
I think it's
4:30.
4.
Oh, so it's
4:30
on the
is what I'm
fair.
seeing reported.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
They probably wanted you to be early.
Mm.
Yeah, I wrote down 4 o'clock in my calendar.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's 4 to 6, but I'm not
Well,
sure.
then whoever was going to be there 4:30 would be late. The thing I saw said 4:30 was what time. Well, it was what time the movie was going to start.
Okay, maybe there's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe they're opening the doors at 4 or something.
Yeah, my wife, when she was a senior in high school, she was given Paul Lynn's phone number, and she called Paul Lynn up, and he answered the phone, which caught her off guard because she thought he'd have a servant or something like that. And she was in charge of asking him if he would come back to Mount Vernon to ride on a donkey during a donkey basketball game. Before she even gave him the date, he said he was busy.
Sounds fair.
Spoken of by a comedian.
So what else would you want to share with us, Mike?
Well, we just recently hosted Leadership Knox. We had some people come through and tour the museum. Kind of the big stuff on our plate right now, the Genealogical Society for the county has become our roommates, and they've given us their collection, and they're going to have some research space there. Now we have to integrate their collections into ours. That's big.
And they're going to continue as with their separate organization charter that they have. But there was a room in the back, which was more or less a storage room. And so we moved quite a few things from that room to our back building and got them all set up. They were over here at 114 East Gambier. It was actually in a house that I own, where Interchurch used to be, and I told them about a year in advance I planned to sell that. So we moved everything out to the museum storage building, and then with a lot of help, we moved things around, including we had some folks come from Merit Court and helped us with some of the heavy stuff.
That's good.
Most of our trustees are older folks, and so we have limited lifting capability, but they helped us with that. So we got them pretty well set up out there now. Before I forget, I want to thank you folks too for your continuing financial
Yes,
support
thank you.
too. That means a lot to us. So
Yeah,
I appreciate the commissioners continuing to do that.
Well, we're pleased to be able to do that.
So
History is important.
yes, it is. And so Jim Gibson, he he liked to do, and probably explain some to you, he liked to do a lot of special projects and
Yes.
delve into certain things. And not that Mike's not going to do that, but Mike's kind of focusing on getting things maybe a little better organized with our collections and so forth. And several years ago, we thought about adding on, but before we would do that in the future, we've decided we need to get our collections better organized. And we have certain things that really don't pertain to Knox County history that we're deaccessioning. But anyway, that's kind of Mike's focus, is to really get everything better organized, make sure all of our collections are better documented maybe than they've been in the past, that type of thing. So it's a big job. And then you might tell them also about the scanning and so forth.
Yeah, in addition, much of what I've been doing, there's not a lot of visible change to the museum yet, but backstage there's a lot. That room that you just described is open and it is much more usable than it was. But what we're doing now, we got a small grant for, well, it's a good sized grant for what we needed, for some equipment to do digitization of some photographs. That's one of our main requests, has always been for photographs of buildings in the area. And a lot of it comes from organizations, Chamber of Commerce, stuff like that. And so I thought that would be a place to begin digitizing these photos so that they're available for people to see and have access to. And we have a lot of them. We've got everything from old photographers in downtown Mount Vernon to Virgil Shipley's archive of negatives that required special equipment to do because they're oversized negatives that you can't just scan them, you have to backlight them. It's an involved process, and then we have to develop a way to keep track of them and make them available. So we're working on that. We also have an ongoing project that had kind of slowed to a trickle with Kenyon College about digitizing the newspapers. And we still have a lot of newspapers to digitize, and they have a very expensive machine that does that. And so myself and a volunteer have been trained to use that, and hopefully we can get some interns and get
The library still has the newspaper on film or not?
The library has them on film. We have a copy of it on microfilm too of the Mount Vernon News, but the library has some of the other county newspapers.
Does the museum have all the yearbooks from all the high schools?
The museum has a lot of stuff. The museum has the paper copies of a lot of the newspapers too. Not all of them, and not all of them are in great shape, but we're getting a handle on what we have and what we're missing so that we can digitize it. As for yearbooks, in that back room as part of the preparation project, I think every time I moved a box, there were 3 more yearbooks.
Yeah.
And we are one of our volunteers, David Greer, is working on making a comprehensive list of what we have and what we need. I don't know that I'd say that we have all of the Mount Vernon ones, but we've got to be close. Fredericktown and Danville, we have quite a few, and then we have some from East Knox, and even when Gambier used to have a...
What about Ailey?
I bet we have some, but we don't have a lot compared to the others.
Because I think I only have 1 or 2 from Ailey.
Yeah, I will have a better answer for that next year because he thought he was done, and then I just kept on bringing another box of yearbooks and another box of yearbooks, and I think he kind of got tired of seeing more yearbooks. But we do aspire to have our plan in terms of keeping track of that is to have 2 near perfect copies and another copy that we'll leave on the floor for people to use because people love to look for their parents or their grandparents and whoever else. And then some of them have been digitized by other means, but.
So someone who's never been, I've been there, but someone who has never been to your to the Historical Society and they walk in, what would they see? Tell the people who are watching me.
Well, you walk in the room and it looks like it's already full of stuff in the front room. Off to one side, there's sort of the music area where we have the Dan Emmett stuff and the Snowden family stuff and the fife and drum corps material and some other things. And then there's sort of like an area that mimics a house museum. We don't have rooms. The building had been in the 80s a motorcycle dealership.
Yeah.
But they set it up so that there's a dining room looking area and a bedroom looking area and a kitchen looking area. And you could spend some time looking at that, but then you go down a hallway and it starts with Native American artifacts from the area, including a set of things that were found on the side of the museum, which is cool. And then you turn and there's a hallway that walks you through decades of county history, Mount Vernon and the villages around it. And then you see Paul Lynn's car, and then it's kind of all over the place. There's old phones that the third graders love to play with and or interact with, and the yearbooks. People tend to stop at the yearbooks in the education area because that's where they can look up people they know. And then, of course, lots of industry things. The glass bits, PPG. We have a whole room for Cooper stuff, plus the Cooper engines that aren't in that room that always people like to look at and kind of be amazed by. Some railroad stuff, and then the Sports Hall of Fame is out there, the County Sports Hall of Fame, and that always gets people's attention. And it seems like if you're here long enough, you can think of people who you think ought to be in there.
Yeah.
I always tell them to take it up with the committee because that's their responsibility.
Phil, excuse me just a second. So Phil Hubler was on our board for several years. And probably it was his idea about the Sports Hall of Fame. And that was probably, I'm going to say, 10 to 12 years ago, something like that. So he started that, and he assembled the initial committee who were really all really big into sports and well-known in sports and so forth. And some of the people on the committee have changed over the years, but they take that role very seriously in terms of selecting additional people for the Sports Hall of Fame. So
yeah, I think there's 6 classes now in it. So it started out with kind of little football and basketball heavy, but it's gotten a little more broad.
Yeah.
What's that?
Diverse.
Yeah, a little more diverse, a little more broad. It's a little broader in its classes as they go along. So.
You mentioned Phil Hobler. When I was a senior in high school, I played on his YMCA basketball team. We had black uniforms with skull and crossbones on the fronts.
whose idea was that?
I don't know. I assumed it was Phil's.
Could be. Oh, he's quite an interesting man. Yeah, I enjoyed him.
But you have some from Ariel out there too. I don't know if you mentioned.
Yes, but no. I'm probably forgetting 3 things for everything I'm saying. Ariel obviously has its own area as a company, but then we also have stuff that Karen Buckle-Wright had donated recently about like a ladies club that did a ladies reading club, which is kind of neat, because the minutes go all the way back to its formation in the 20s.
Jim Bookland was on our board for a number of years
Yes.
also.
Yeah, we have stuff.
Probably Rolls Royce.
Well, that's kind of wrapped up in the Cooper lived experience. You know, we have an area for churches and religious life. We have the plinths from when Kenyon did a class on, they call it the community within. It was about African Americans in Knox County, and Rick Sheffield, who retired from there, we're working with him on getting some of that material that hasn't been made available out there. We've got stuff on veterans. It's a full museum, and then there's the stuff that's not on display yet. We're working on. I just talked to. I've been talking to people at the Woodward and some other places to get some of that stuff out where people are, to kind of remind them that we're there and that We have more neat stuff in the museum.
So our original building was 6,000 square feet, and then we added on another 6,000 square feet. And then our last addition was essentially the Cooper area, and it was 2,500 square feet. So we have 14,500 square feet in the main building, and then we have a building in the back, 6,000 square feet of metal building. And we just added heat and air conditioning to that this past year. So that way we don't have to worry about some of the things that are being stored back there with the high heat, humidity in the summertime, that type of thing. So that was one of the things we've achieved here in the last 12 months or so, is adding that. Nicholas Plumbing and Heating added that equipment for us.
So the bridge is out there, do you have that labeled so that people know where it came from?
We really don't, and that one is actually from Larimore Road, and the county gave us that bridge. And we had one there before, which was up around, there's a little, I guess it was a village, or at least a spot on the road called Lucerne, up near Chesterville area.
Yeah.
And we were approached when Aerial Foundation Park was being established to kind of do a permanent loan. So it's on the west side of Aerial Foundation Park. And so after, Ted Schnormeyer had that one cleaned up and painted, and so it's over there at the park now. And then we have this one from Larimore Road there now, which we still plan to put a more permanent foundation on, that type of thing. And one of the things we'll be working on here the next year or two, we'd acquired what was called known as the Dudgeon Log House, which is out east of Gambier. Kind of looked at potential various options for that, but we finally settled on actually re-erecting that there at the museum. We haven't decided exactly what spot we're going to do that. We're fortunate too, because we have about, around 17 or 18 acres there too. So I'm sure we'll never use all that land, but when we had the opportunity to buy we had 4.3 acres, 1 acre initially, and then we bought another 3.3 from the Landers family. And then later we had the opportunity it was an all or nothing to buy about another 15 acres from the folks, Earl Justice had that. And so anyways, we acquired that. So we do have plenty of room for expansion if we ever want to go beyond that initial land area that we have.
So you can make a whole town.
Yeah,
Go from the
yeah, we're
log
very-
house to.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate that way. A lot of museums may just be in an old house, something like that. But obviously with some of our objects like the steam engines and in the Cooper room, we have what's called a GMV. It's a combination engine compressor that was made here in Mount Vernon. And I'm not sure how many tons that is, but we had to have, it's either a 12 or 16 inch concrete platform, and they moved it from over here at Cooper Park out to the museum, and then the building was built around it once it was in there. So it's huge and heavy. But,
And the storage building is also, it's not small. It's large enough that you can walk in and not notice that there's an airplane in it. And it's a little airplane, but it's still an airplane.
Well, you mentioned you had a section with railroads. Do you have information then about Railway Express?
Not that I know of.
Because it used to be where the train station, where the convention bureau is. They were in there, and it was part train station and part Railway Express. So the train would bring in stuff, and my dad was the last agent there for Railway Express. So we would, when I was a little kid growing up, the stuff would come in on the train, and if it were chickens, he'd bring them home instead of leaving them in the office. My mom told him never bring chickens home again, baby chicks. They just didn't know when it was daylight and time to sleep. So, but yeah, I was curious as to whether they had anything on the Railroad Express, because in the old, I don't know what it's called, phone books or not, but I have like a 1954 book, and it has where everyone lived and what business they worked for. And there were several people in there that worked for Railway Express. And many people remember, I forgot his name already. He worked for RA Express, but he also was a police officer. So, you know, they had a lot of part-time people, but it was the predecessor to UPS and the other, not Southern Express, the other carrier, but yeah, Railway Express was the predecessor for all of those.
I'm not familiar with that term, we'll have to check that out.
I'll check it out and then I'll talk to people on the tour about it like I know something.
Yeah.
What era was that, do you know?
Well, it would have been in the 50s,
50s.
at least the 50s.
Okay.
I think they finished up in like in 63. And as I say, my dad was the last agent there. And I think he may have been there 40 years throughout his, I think from high school, I think he was the agent.
So that was a separate business that used the railroad for shipping, is that?
Well, they were in the same building, but yeah, Railway Express, yeah, down there where the viaduct is, all the trains would come in there and they would gather what they needed to ship on to local residents here at Canyon
Okay,
and the residents of Knox County.
yeah, I've never heard of that.
We have a lot of city directories, so I'll poke around and
Okay,
see what.
well, I'll pull the two that I know, because I tell you where the people are that were in there. Virgil Hemphill, that's who it was.
Okay, I'll check that out.
So do you have a favorite period of history?
Well, I'm not from here, so the period that I know the most about is probably about 1830 to 1880 in Illinois. So I'm kind of out of my
Oh,
own.
okay, yeah.
Are you a Civil War buff?
No, it's actually I look at the you know, my expertise is the Black Hawk War and the people involved in that and the sort of shifting in Illinois
Yeah.
population, the Midwestern population, as it kind of stops being Southern and becomes more New Englandy and middle states. So so that's what I'm here because my wife's family is here. So
You're grafted in.
I'm yeah, and I can be, if I make 26 years like Jim did at the museum, there's still going to be people who tell me, well, yeah, you don't really know because.
Yeah.
Now that you're 30
I
years,
can
I get
understand
that.
Of course, Jim wasn't from here originally,
Right,
he was
right.
over
Yeah, he
in
always
West
had-
Virginia and went to Muskingum before he came to Mount Vernon to teach and so forth.
But his middle name is actually Knox.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Mark? What's your favorite? Do you have a favorite period of history that you like?
Oh, gosh, I'm most interested just in local history, I guess, but not really in any special time frame. Yeah.
Do you do any sharing with the museum at the fairgrounds?
We're doing a very modest thing this year. Well, oh, you mean with the Ag Museum?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's certain items that, I'm not sure if we've done anything recent, but we work with David. David Greer was on our board for a number of years. He still handles membership and so forth. Of course, he's active out there at the Ag Museum. So, you know, if there are things that came to us as potential acquisitions and we thought, would think it's more agriculture related, we kind of steer them that way.
And then some of the material that we deaccessioned, I know we gave them some. They weren't like local agricultural catalogs, but they were seed catalogs, equipment catalogs that were for elsewhere, and so we got them to them because they seemed a better home for it than we were.
Well, we thank you
Yes,
for
we do.
sharing
Yeah.
everything shared with us.
Thanks for letting us come in today, and again, we really want to thank you for your continuing financial support. It means a lot to us.
I see you have August 6th, Ohio's airship disaster, a century later presentation.
That was last year. That was last year, yeah.
Oh, this is that. Okay, I see. This is not what's
Do we have
coming
any,
up.
do we have any other programs in place for this fall yet or not?
We sorta.
Okay. Haven't finalized it yet.
Yeah, we don't have the first one locked down, so but we have some ideas coming up. Including, we did a show and tell thing last year that I think we're going to do again. We're going to also try to have someone come in and talking about preserving and taking care of your own stuff. That seemed to be something that people were interested in. Yeah, we've got more ideas than we have dates for right now, so we'll see how it goes.
Great.
Watch our Facebook page.
Yeah.
We'll get more of that.
So you have a Facebook page, and so now if people want to become a member of the Historical Society, how'd they go about doing that?
Come to the museum and I'll get you set up.
Okay.
That'd be the easiest way. We do have individual memberships and family memberships, and we're talking about broadening that to appropriate things. We're working on the details on what that's gonna look like, but individuals, families, they're welcome to come and sign up and
Good.
get them set up.
We are gonna have just a very modest setup at the Ag Museum during the fair. And they've allowed us to just set a table there, so we'll be there part of the time.
Yeah, we'll have membership locations there.
Okay,
and
good.
other things.
Be good to.
All right, well,
Yeah,
again, thank you
great.
very much.
Thank you. You guys have a great
Thank
weekend.
you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Appreciate you joining us.
And happy healing, Mark.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot better than it was on Monday, let me tell you already. Thank you.
Have a good day.
See you now. Okay, so we have, unless you've added some, Molly, one item for our agenda for resolutions.
Yep.
Go through that?
So we just have the one, and it's approved the Ohio Department of Public Safety Award Notice for FY 2025 State Homeland Security Program Grant. And the State of Ohio Emergency Management Agency National Incident Management Compliance Certificate Statement for the Knox County Emergency Management Agency. And authorize Jason as the signing agent for those related documents.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion,
Motion to approve?
I second, and those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And then other than that, we just have the bill list for today. That's
Okay,
it.
great. We'll do the bill list and take a motion for adjournment,
Motion to adjourn?
and we stand adjourned.